process before the federal court seeking a review of my decisions and seeking a mandamus. That's one. The other one is the investigation being carried by the commissioner. And the two processes are completely independent from one another.
Now, there answer or any information that you gave that you would like to clarify or correct or amend from what's happened so far?
Not at this point, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we'll then proceed with...
Your opinion, the Conservative Party broke the law.
The reference to the commissioner concerns only candidates and agents. I have made no reference specifically with regard to the party. I refer the matters of all the transaction around the media buy program to the commissioner to determine whether offenses and what offenses would have or could have been committed.
Mr. Poilievre, please.
You indicated that 3 members of Elections Canada staff knew in advance of the search. Is that correct?
Of Elections Canada? Yes.
Yes, and in
I
addition
did review, I should point out that I did review my information during lunch.
Okay.
It was 5.
5?
Yes.
And have all 5 of them been questioned in your internal review of the potential leak?
All 5 of them have been asked.
They have been asked.
When you carry these type of operations.
And I know that media has been a great preoccupation for you in your office. In an April 16th email from Ms. Vezina to yourself, she indicates that the negative news coverage that the office visit was causing for the Conservative Party was great. I quote her. She said, quote, "Most are going against the party." She's referring to the media. End quote. Then she says, "But we seem to be coming out positively on most counts." The email demonstrates that Elections Canada was, and the whole series of emails around it, which are available now through ATI, demonstrate that Elections Canada was totally preoccupied with causing negative news coverage for a political party and positive news coverage for itself. Is it the role of a supposedly non-partisan agency to concern itself with generating negative news coverage for one political party?
Always, sir. Always. Always. I would never want to generate any coverage, negative coverage, out of actions of Elections Canada for any party, any candidate, any agents.
I'm not sure.
Any circumstances that question the actions of Elections Canada in that regard compromise its impartiality, its independence, and is always of great concern to the organization.
Right. And Elections Canada, as you have stated, should be an independent body, yet internal correspondence indicates with respect to media, you produce talking points, you fret over negative versus positive media coverage for one of the political parties. Can you understand why some might conclude that Elections Canada's visit was just as much about public relations as it was about enforcing the law?
I'm misunderstanding your question, sir.
Well, the question is very clear. When you indicate in email after email an obsession with...
Could we have those emails? Just a moment. Just a moment. Thank you. We have stopped the clock. You'll get to finish your question, sir.
The question I was in the middle of was when Canadians see comments like that from Ms. Vezina, quote, "Most are going against the party," in her assessment of the media fallout from your search of the Conservative headquarters, can you not understand why some Canadians might look at those sorts of comments that you and your colleague exchanged by email and question whether the headquarters search was more about public relations and less about law enforcement?
Two things. I think those emails revealed a concern about the perception of Elections Canada as not being as independent and as impartial as it should be. As to whether it display concerns about law enforcement, again, I think we're simply carrying out the responsibilities that vested with the Commissioner under the legislation.
Regardless of what the cause was for this incident to occur, the staff arrived at the Conservative headquarters and immediately after your investigators arrived, this was immediately after the investigators arrived, then the Liberals arrived with the camera, and based on media reports, there was some talk about using these images in the next elections.
Partisan ads for a political party during an election over which your agency is supposed to preside impartially. Do you worry that your...
Me, Mr. Polyev, I apologize. We have a point of order by Mr. LeBlanc.
Mr. Chairman, I'm just wondering if it's fair to ask the witness to comment on hypothetical liberal advertising from Mr. Polyev. It seems to be a little bizarre that he or Mr. Mehra would be involved in this.
Order, please. Thank you, Mr. LeBlanc. As you know, that is debate. It's not a point of order. Mr. Polyev, please continue.
Do you worry that your ostensibly impartial personnel would become participants in the next election rather than referees over that election if a political party was to use that footage in its advertisements?
I will point out first, when you say that cameras appear on the premises immediately, it's about 2 hours and a half after the operation had started. So I wouldn't call that personally as being immediate. As to what will be done with the images that were taken by those who took them, at this point of time, must say it's highly speculative. I'm not familiar with how these things may or may not be used, and whether it would be appropriate or not appropriate, and what sort of remedy would fall, depending on if they are used and how they are used, or for what purpose they are used.
As you stated on page 11 of your statement, given the quote, given the arm's length relationship that I seek to maintain with the Commissioner, I am not in a position to answer questions that are within his scope of investigation. Can you confirm that you have never interfered with the Commissioner's investigation in this regard?
Absolutely.
You've never been involved in any way, shape, or form since referring it to him?
Could you provide more explanation to your question?
The question is very simple. Have you been involved in any way in guiding the investigation?
I've not been involved in any way in guiding the investigation.
Have you written him about the investigation?
I have not written him about the investigation.
Has he spoken to you about it?
3 days before the operation, I got a debrief from the Commissioner.
He indicated to you that this search was going ahead at that time?
Mm-hmm.
And did you give him your support for that?
Not really.
So you did not support the search?
Because I must say, and I'm pretty sure the Commissioner would attest to that, we had a difficult conversation, not regarding the steps being taken, but the timing of the investigation and the process.
That's
I
interesting.
was someone who was rather not very happy about finding out that an operation would be conducted on the eve of the civil case proceeding. I'm responsible for the civil proceeding. He's responsible for the criminal aspect. And I was not too enthused about the approach.
Why is that?
But again, out of this arm's length relationship, I did not direct him to change anything.
Why did you think the timing was bad and
Well,
inappropriate?
I didn't think it was very appropriate to do that again on the day before the cross-examination in the civil case would start.
So do you think Canadians would be concerned to find out that not only do we as a Conservative Party think that the timing was suspect, but you as the head of the chief electoral officer has said the timing of this search was inappropriate?
From my point of view,
Yes.
I would have preferred, if I had a choice, I would have preferred to have it way before or sometime after, not on the eve of the civil court.
But it was a fortuitous coincidence that it was the eve before and did push
Absolutely.
off the question.
Absolutely.
So you did find that fortuitous?
Sorry?
You did find that fortuitous?
Yes, absolutely, because again, we're running two separate operations, distinct, and we don't share information among the two entities.